He had also been cheated on and left by his ex for another man, and she had essentially abandoned my now stepdaughter, Nikki, when she was a baby. We both had trust issues, so we took it slow and then found love with each other. After 3 years, I asked him to marry me. My family loves him and even admitted they love him more than they ever did. Carl has been a fantastic stepdad to Kevin, and I officially adopted Nikki a year ago. And as of 6 months ago, we are expecting another baby boy. Everyone is ecstatic. The kids even surprised us by decorating the baby's room for us. They even paid for it themselves using their saved paychecks. The only thing preventing Victor from adopting Kevin was Carl guilt-tripping him into not asking. And even though Carl has essentially been a deadbeat for the past few years and hasn't even invited Kevin out to visit him for 5 years, it would be breaking his heart to let another man replace him. Speaking of Carl, neither he nor his family has bothered to even reach out for the past few years. His parents haven't done anything besides send an Old Navy gift card at Christmas and birthdays for years. The only time they messaged Kevin over the past 10 years was to shame him for not having a quinceañera. My son never felt in touch with his Spanish roots due to his family never being around to teach it to him. So despite me and Victor offering to host one, he refused because he didn't feel it was important. Carl's parents messaged him, calling him a sick little traitor to his culture and saying that he doesn't deserve his dad and his family if he could turn his back on his own kind. Once again, they caused my baby to spend his whole birthday night crying. Recently, I got a call from an unknown number, and it was Carl. He called to tell me he was at the house and the new owners told him I had moved years ago. So after years, he called me to ask why I sold our home. I asked him how he even got my number and why he felt it was his place to be upset that I sold a house he hadn't had anything to do with for years. He said it wasn't important and that he needed to meet me privately to talk. I told him I wasn't interested, and that he had my number now. So anything he had to talk about, he could text me, and I ended the call. In his text, he explained that he had moved back to our hometown with his daughter. I guess he got someone pregnant during one of his hookups at some point. He had been dumped by his last girlfriend a year ago and was no longer able to find dates, and he realized he was no longer happy in Hawaii. He was working a miserable job at the resort where we ended our marriage and realized his time was up, and he needed to settle down. He said he had never forgotten our love and always knew I was the one at the end of the day. He said that if I would have him, he would move in tomorrow or a month or even 16 years if that was what it took. He wanted our life and family back and to add his daughter to that family, and he would love to meet at a restaurant with our son or alone, and it was up to me. He even called me by a nickname he used to call me during our relationship. A nickname I used to love, but now made me want to gag. I shut that down and told him I was happily married and expecting a new baby and that we would never get back together. And if my son wanted to rebuild their relationship, that would be his decision. I would have no part in it. Ever since, he has been spam texting me, Victor, and Kevin. He keeps telling Victor that he can have me back in a day, that I was his first and one and only true love. And it's a joke to think that I wouldn't take him back if we met face to face and that he and his kids should just move out before they get hurt and clear the way for his true family to take their rightful place in our new home. He's texting my son all the things he's planning for our new family home and asking if the hussy and her kid are gone yet. He's sending him money and pictures of all the clothes he's bought for him along with texts like, "These are a lot better than the stuff the hussy buys you, right? And this is way more than the hussy normally gives you for your allowance, right?" He sends me similar messages. We laughed at the messages and then blocked his number, but he'll make new ones over and over again. I thankfully haven't gotten anything from his family, but I know he's staying with them, so I have my guard up. I can tell this is starting to get to my husband and son. Kevin has expressed that he's seen Victor crying a lot, which is worrying as he's a high-risk pregnancy due to an autoimmune condition, and that he's nervous walking home from work as his dad keeps offering to pick him up an hour or two before his shift ends despite not telling him his work schedule. Kevin's worried his dad has been stalking him. We are all stressed to the limit.